Why You Can't Stop Overthinking, and How to Quiet Your Mind. You are watching Mindcrafters, and this is the first video of our series on overthinking and anxiety. How many times have you found yourself caught in an endless loop of thoughts, unable to quiet your mind? You try to relax, focus on the task at hand, or even get some sleep, but your mind keeps racing, replaying scenarios or worrying about what could happen next. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. Overthinking is a struggle many people face, and it's not just a temporary inconvenience. It's a mental habit that can have lasting effects on your health, productivity, and relationships. At Mindcrafters, we understand how overwhelming overthinking can be, especially in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world. With constant pressure to perform, the fear of missing out, and the endless flow of information, it's no surprise our minds are always on overdrive. In fact, recent global studies show that nearly 73% of people worldwide experience some form of anxiety linked to overthinking. According to a World Health Organization (WHO) report, 1 in 13 people around the globe suffer from anxiety, with overthinking often playing a significant role in this rising epidemic. Overthinking is not just a personal challenge, it's a global one. In Europe, nearly 40% of workers report experiencing stress, with overthinking about job responsibilities being a major contributor. In Australia, Beyond Blue, a leading mental health organization, has highlighted that overthinking is a key factor leading to mental health issues like depression and generalized anxiety disorder. The strain of overthinking is being felt on every continent, affecting both personal lives and workplace environments. Why is it so important to address overthinking? Because it doesn't just cause mental distress, it can also have a serious impact on your physical well-being. Prolonged overthinking often leads to chronic stress, anxiety, and sleep disruptions, which then spiral into more serious mental and physical health conditions. According to a study by the National Institutes of Health, chronic overthinking can contribute to the development of anxiety disorders and depression, leaving people caught in a cycle of worry and mental exhaustion. Dr. Daniel Goleman, a prominent expert in emotional intelligence, explains, "The more you overthink, the more you're likely to become stuck in a loop of anxiety and stress, which depletes your mental energy and disrupts your emotional balance." This powerful insight reinforces why Mindcrafters felt it was essential to address overthinking in our content, because breaking the cycle is critical to achieving emotional healing and mental well-being. In today's video, we'll explore why you can't stop overthinking, how it affects your life, and most importantly, practical strategies to quiet your mind. By understanding the root causes and taking action, you can regain control of your thoughts and start living a more peaceful, focused life. So in easy words, overthinking is when your mind gets stuck in a loop, endlessly replaying thoughts about what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. Instead of focusing on the present moment or solving a problem, your brain keeps going over the same thoughts again and again, making it hard to focus or move forward. In fact, overthinking is one of the top causes of anxiety. Studies show that about 73% of people report that overthinking about their worries can lead to stress and sleepless nights. What starts as a simple thought can quickly turn into a cycle of worry, making it hard to find peace of mind. This is why it's important to understand what overthinking is and why it's such a big problem for mental health. Sometimes overthinking happens in a positive way, like planning ahead or trying to solve a problem, but most of the time it turns into something negative. Instead of finding solutions, we get stuck in worries or what-if scenarios that never really happen. This leads to increased anxiety, making you feel like you're always on edge. So why does this happen? It comes down to how our brain works. There's something called the default mode network, DMN, in the brain, which gets activated when we're not actively focusing on something. It's like your mind starts to wander. The problem is, it often starts dwelling on the past or worrying about what might go wrong in the future. This is known as rumination, just a fancy word for replaying thoughts over and over. According to experts, when we overthink, we're essentially making our worries worse by focusing on them, which can lead to anxiety. Dr. Aaron Beck, a psychologist who studied how our thoughts affect our emotions, explains that we often think in unhelpful ways, like imagining the worst possible outcome, called catastrophizing, or thinking in extremes, called black and white thinking. These kinds of thoughts make overthinking even worse, adding more stress to your life. We need to understand the difference between overthinking and normal thinking. Normal thinking is when you calmly evaluate a situation or make a decision. For example, you might think through how to solve a problem at work or plan your day. But overthinking is different. It's when you're stuck on the same thoughts, going in circles without moving forward. Research shows that overthinking can actually cloud your judgment, making it harder to make decisions or focus on what's important. Instead of helping you think clearly, it actually makes everything feel more complicated. This is why people who overthink often feel like they're stuck in a mental fog, unable to make decisions or take action. Now the question arises, what are the impacts on mental and emotional health? Overthinking is not just exhausting, it has a serious impact on your mental and emotional health. One of the most noticeable effects is increased anxiety and stress. When your mind races with worries or doubts, it keeps your body in a constant state of alert. Studies show that overthinking is closely linked to higher levels of anxiety. According to the American Psychological Association, overthinking can trigger the body's fight or flight response, leading to heightened stress and anxiety. Difficulty concentrating is another common issue. The more you overthink, the harder it is to focus on tasks at hand because your mind is constantly juggling worries. This leads to decision fatigue, where you feel mentally drained from making choices, even simple ones. Over time, this can result in emotional burnout, leaving you feeling emotionally exhausted, frustrated, and disconnected. A study by the National Institute of Mental Health reveals that chronic overthinking can eventually lead to a cycle of analysis paralysis, where you can't act or resolve situations because your mind is stuck in overdrive. The mental toll of overthinking also takes a physical toll on your body. Sleep disturbances are one of the most common physical effects. Overthinking makes it nearly impossible to switch off your mind, which leads to insomnia or restless sleep. Research from the National Sleep Foundation found that over 40% of people report difficulty falling asleep due to a racing mind, which in turn affects their physical health and daily functioning. But the impact doesn't end there. Overthinking can lead to a variety of physical health issues. Muscle tension and headaches are common as your body remains in a constant state of stress. Over time, this tension can cause digestive issues, such as upset stomachs or even irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, according to a study by the American Psychological Association. These physical symptoms further contribute to the cycle of mental fatigue and discomfort. Overthinking doesn't only affect you, it also impacts your relationships. When you're stuck in your head, it's easy to start questioning everything. You may constantly second-guess your actions, words, or the intentions of others. This creates relationship strain. A study from the University of California found that people who overthink tend to feel more socially isolated and have difficulty communicating clearly with others. Their worries often spill into their interactions, making them less present or emotionally available. Overthinking about social interactions can also lead to misunderstandings and conflict, further damaging relationships. In the workplace, overthinking can hinder collaboration and productivity, as overthinkers tend to second-guess every decision, which delays progress and affects team dynamics. Now let's talk about how to quiet your mind and practical techniques to break the cycle of overthinking. Overthinking can feel like an overwhelming cycle, but the good news is that there are powerful and proven techniques to break free from it. Let's dive into some practical strategies that will help you quiet your mind and regain control of your thoughts. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is one of the most effective tools for managing overthinking. By practicing mindfulness, you train your mind to focus on the present moment rather than getting lost in the cycle of past regrets or future worries. According to a study published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology, mindfulness meditation significantly reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression, both of which are often exacerbated by overthinking. The study found that after just 8 weeks of mindfulness training, participants showed significant reductions in anxiety levels. Mindfulness teaches you to observe your thoughts without engaging with them, which helps to break the overthinking loop. By observing your thoughts as they come and go, you create distance from them, allowing you to feel less overwhelmed. There is a breathing exercise for beginners. First, sit comfortably with your feet flat on the ground. Second, close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, and exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. And third, focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. If thoughts arise, acknowledge them without judgment and return your focus to your breath. Even 5 minutes of this exercise can begin to calm the nervous system and reduce stress. Studies by the National Institutes of Health show that regular practice of mindfulness can rewire the brain, reducing activity in the default mode network, DMN, the part of the brain responsible for rumination and overthinking. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is another powerful approach to break the cycle of overthinking. One of the central principles of CBT is identifying and challenging cognitive distortions, irrational thought patterns that fuel overthinking. Some common distortions include catastrophizing, imagining the worst possible outcome; a black and white thinking, seeing things as either all good or all bad with no middle ground; rumination, continuously going over the same thought or event without resolution. A landmark study conducted by the University of Oxford found that individuals who practiced CBT techniques showed a 40% decrease in anxiety symptoms, largely due to their ability to identify and challenge their distorted thoughts. Thought-stopping technique. First, when you catch yourself overthinking, say stop, either out loud or in your head. Second, visualize a peaceful scene, such as a beach or forest, or repeat a positive mantra like, "I am in control of my thoughts." Third, this simple intervention can break the cycle and shift your focus to something calming. Writing down your thoughts through journaling can be an incredibly effective way to quiet your mind. A study by the University of California found that expressive writing about your emotions and experiences, can significantly reduce anxiety and help you process overwhelming thoughts. Journaling allows you to take the thoughts out of your head and organize them in a tangible form, which can reduce their power over you. How journaling helps. First, it provides an emotional release, allowing you to process feelings instead of bottling them up. Second, it helps you gain perspective on what's really bothering you, giving you clarity and insight. Third, it can reveal patterns of thought that may be feeding into your overthinking, making it easier to address them. Start by writing for 10 to 15 minutes each day about whatever is on your mind. This simple habit can help clear mental clutter and provide emotional relief. Setting boundaries for thoughts. Sometimes we need to set boundaries for our thoughts. Overthinking often happens because we let our minds dwell on worries without limit. One technique to manage this is to set aside specific time each day to allow yourself to worry. This might sound strange, but it works. Time-limited thinking means giving yourself 15 to 20 minutes a day to focus on your worries, then consciously deciding to shut off after that time is up. The Journal of Behavioral Therapy and Experimental Psychiatry found that individuals who practiced time-limited worrying experienced a 30% reduction in anxiety. When you consciously give yourself permission to let go of worries outside of your designated worry time, it can provide a sense of control and stop your mind from spiraling. Engaging in physical activity. Physical exercise is another key strategy for quieting your mind. Exercise doesn't just benefit your body, it's incredibly effective for your mind as well. When you engage in physical activity, your brain releases endorphins, which are chemicals that help reduce stress and improve mood. Regular physical activity has been shown to reduce anxiety and depressive symptoms, making it an essential tool for breaking the cycle of overthinking. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that people who engage in regular physical activity report lower levels of anxiety and stress. Activities like yoga, walking, or swimming not only help to calm the body, but also redirect your focus, providing a healthy break from overthinking. Do you know why movement helps? Physical activity reduces the levels of stress hormones like cortisol. Exercise improves sleep quality, which can be disrupted by overthinking. Now, it shifts your focus from mental worries to physical sensations, providing a mental reset. Let's talk about psychological insights on overthinking. Overthinking is often tied to deeper psychological patterns, such as fear of the unknown and perfectionism. Dr. Daniel Goleman, a renowned psychologist and expert in emotional intelligence, explains that overthinking is a result of our emotional brain trying to process situations that feel uncertain or out of our control. According to Goleman, when we allow ourselves to get caught in overthinking, we are often trying to gain control over a situation that is beyond our grasp. Our emotional brain then holds on to that thought, hoping to find resolution, which can make things worse. This reflects how overthinking is an emotional reaction to uncertainty, anxiety, and an attempt to feel in control. A key reason people overthink is due to perfectionism. The need to be flawless, to never make a mistake, and to have everything perfectly planned out can drive your mind into overdrive. Psychologists have found that perfectionists often spend excessive time replaying thoughts and scenarios because they fear making the wrong decision or failing in some way. According to Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, a professor of positive psychology, perfectionism often traps us in a cycle of overthinking. The need to get things just right leads to an endless revisiting of details, slowing down decision-making and creating anxiety. In other words, the desire for perfectionism can prevent you from feeling good enough, and the cycle of overthinking ensures that nothing ever feels perfect. Overthinking also often stems from a fear of the unknown. Our brains are wired to seek certainty and avoid ambiguity. When faced with uncertainty, whether it's a personal decision, a job change, or a relationship issue, our minds naturally dwell on potential outcomes, imagining worst-case scenarios in an attempt to reduce fear. This is why overthinking often spirals into anxiety. The fear of not knowing what will happen keeps us mentally stuck, unable to take action or move forward. Encouraging self-compassion. In the battle against overthinking, self-compassion is a crucial element. It may seem counterintuitive, but being kind to yourself is essential in quieting your mind. Overthinking is often linked to self-criticism, where you judge yourself harshly for your thoughts, actions, or past mistakes. Instead of giving yourself permission to make mistakes and move on, overthinkers tend to spiral into self-doubt and regret. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer to a friend facing a similar struggle. Research from Dr. Kristin Neff, a pioneering researcher in self-compassion, shows that people who practice self-compassion experience lower levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. Dr. Neff explains, self-compassion helps us face our mistakes without judgment. It allows us to accept our imperfections and move forward, which reduces the mental load of overthinking. By being compassionate with ourselves, we free up emotional energy, which can then be used for healthy coping, problem-solving, and emotional regulation. It's important to recognize that overthinking is normal and happens to everyone from time to time. Accepting this fact can be liberating. Instead of berating yourself for overthinking, embrace the idea that your thoughts are simply part of your brain's natural processing. By accepting this, you can reduce the emotional charge that makes overthinking worse. Lastly, if overthinking becomes overwhelming or too difficult to manage on your own, it's okay to seek professional help. Therapy, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, has been shown to be highly effective in addressing overthinking by helping individuals identify and challenge the underlying patterns and thought distortions. In this video, we've explored how overthinking is a common but unproductive habit that affects so many of us. Overthinking often leads to increased anxiety, stress, and burnout, which can drain your energy and prevent you from making clear decisions. However, we also learned that overthinking can be broken. Through simple but powerful techniques like mindfulness, cognitive behavioral techniques, and self-compassion, you can regain control over your thoughts and create a sense of mental clarity. Research shows that 73% of people experience anxiety linked to overthinking, and nearly 60% of people report that their mental health is directly impacted by excessive worrying. But the good news is these habits can be changed. By practicing mindfulness or journaling, you can significantly reduce your stress and stop the cycle of negative thinking that keeps you trapped in your head. Now it's time to hear from you. What triggers your overthinking, and how do you manage it? We invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. Engaging with others who face the same struggles can help us feel less alone and provide new insights. I also encourage you to try one of the techniques we discussed today, whether it's a quick breathing exercise, journaling your thoughts, or setting boundaries for your thinking, and report back on how it worked for you. Remember, small steps toward a healthier mindset can make a big difference. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on the next video in our Overthinking and Anxiety series. Together, we can learn to quiet the mind and create space for more peace and clarity in our lives.